Hello, everyone, and welcome to our speaker series. I'm super excited to be here today with Anne Ortelee, one of our greats. I am Debbie Levine with the NCGR Florida Atlantic Chapter, and Anne is going to be our guest on March 15th, right? Coming up.
Yep,
March
right
15th.
before St. Patrick's Day.
And what's so exciting about this one is that we're doing it hybrid. So you can come and join us in person because let's just say it's fun,
More fun.
you know.
Yeah.
But if it's far to fly to Florida, although we're having beautiful weather, you can participate online too. This is a hybrid event, and I'm super excited because it's such a fascinating topic. So Anne is going to be talking to us about the Draconic Chart Reset, and specifically with all of the big planets. Right? If you haven't been aware, we have all the big planets hitting 0 degrees this year. Jupiter through Pluto will all be at 0 degrees at some point in time. So I'm super excited. I want to first introduce you to Anne because you might not know her like I do. So Anne, first, just tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been in astrology for a long time.
30 years. I had my 30th anniversary. Yeah. I started learning astrology in September of 1994 and sat on a couch in New York in John Marcasella's apartment for 2.5 years and learned astrology. And then I was like, about 2 months in, I'm like, this is our user manual. How come we don't know about this in first grade? And studied it and fell in love with it. But my background before that was computers, so I had a programming background. I'm like, this is our computer program in addition to our user manual, right? So I really fell in love with it. And you know that phase where you're really obsessed and you drive all your friends crazy.
Yes.
So I got very involved in the astrology community to make more friends and be able to talk astrology all the time. And then 7 years after I started studying astrology, I went full time. My birthday is the day of the World Trade Center attack, and my office blew up. So I kind of took that as a sign, go be an astrologer, kid. And so I'd been thinking about it, leaving the corporate paycheck's a little hard, but I was like, no, I really love this. And so here I am 30 years later, a full-time astrologer and loving my work. I get up every day looking forward to talking to clients and talking to people about their souls and why they're here and what they're doing. And the beauty of astrology is people come to you when they're at a crossroads and you can help delineate the crossroads and they feel very seen by that, which is what I felt when I had my reading with John, my first reading with John. I had it in June before the class in September, and I'd broken up with a partner of 14 and a half years, and he looked at the ephemeris and he knew all this stuff. I'm like, how do you know that stuff? Like looking at a book of numbers. And he did. And so I was like, I want to learn how he did that because I'm a Virgo and we don't like to make the same mistake twice. So that's how I got into astrology and I've never looked back. I've had a great time and made lots of friends. I love the Florida chapter. You guys have a wonderful group. And afterwards we go out for dinner to a great restaurant with fabulous crab legs and a buffet that's delicious. So in addition to good astrology, if you stay for dinner, you get good food with conversation with astrologers. So I recommend that also. Well, that's how I got here.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome, right? So many. I love everyone has these amazing backstories of
Mhm.
how like they got the bug of astrology. And
Mhm.
once you get bitten,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
obsessed. I have this picture I changed of Albert Einstein that says it says love is the answer. I changed it to say astrology is the answer.
It is.
Just ask me a question.
Yeah, there has to be a question, and there is always an answer to the question. Yes, that's the beauty of it. Mhm.
So, and I love that little extra, like, yes, it's worth it to come and visit us if you're anywhere in Florida because we do have a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
the party goes beyond the actual lecture. So,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, we have a good lecture, good time, good questions, and then we go out for dinner afterwards, and that's a lot of fun. So,
good food. So, all right, so let's talk about this. So, first, I can you tell us a little bit about what the Draconic Chart Reset means?
okay. So there's your basic chart. So whether you're a tropical person or sidereal or a Hellenistic astrologer, everybody's got their approach. There's also a kind of zodiac called the Draconic Zodiac, Draconic, and it's the dragon zodiac. So it starts with the node of fate set at 0 Aries, And all of the planets in your, so you take your natal chart and you move it from wherever it is. You take your north node, mine's it's 11 Capricorn, you move it to 0 Aries, and then all the other planets move with it. And what the Draconic chart is, we know about the dragon nodes. We come in on that south node and we're heading towards the north node. Well, what the Draconic chart is it's your soul chart, S-O-U-L. And the idea of it is everybody's got one. And so that when the nodes are at 0 Aries, that soul chart gets reset because we all have a choice. Every country has a Draconic chart. Every document, the Magna Carta, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, they all have Draconic charts because every living thing or everything that we relate to has a soul purpose. So this year, the nodes of fate, if you remember, were at 0 Aries, which is the degree of the Draconic chart, North Node. So we watched January 4th to the 10th, and we saw the fires in California, pretty big.
Yep.
And we know the stuff that starts in California comes across the country. And then we saw Vice President Harris make her last trip to NATO. And then we saw Trump get sentenced for his 34 felony convictions. And then the node hit 0 and it said reset.
Reset.
And everybody in the world gets a reset. And 0 Aries is the cardinal point of when the sun goes over the equator and we begin the year. I mean, some people start with the solstice, but I start with 0 Aries. So the idea is everybody has we're going to reset everybody's chart to 0 Aries, and we're going to see what your soul's path is. So that's the first part of the workshop.
Okay.
Where we're going to take your soul's path. We're going to compare it. You're going to look at it by a standalone chart, like you would like meeting yourself for the first time.
Yeah.
Then you're going to compare it to your natal chart and what that looks like and how those two charts interact, because you were born on the day you were born sometime in the 19 years after the node went over 0 with your particular soul's imperative or your particular chart's imperative, if you don't like soul, to go in this direction. What are you going to do here? Why are you here? And then the natal chart looks back to the soul. Hey, what did you want me to do again? You know how like when you walk into a room and you forget?
It's like a reminder.
The Draconic chart is a reminder. And because the node was at 0 Aries, it activated it for everybody in the world. So if you look around the world right now, everybody in the world is paying attention.
Yeah.
Because that node of fate got activated. Now, in addition to that, you mentioned that the outer planets are all 5 of the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all changing signs, starting new journeys. And when they go into 0 of any sign, they're going to activate that 0 point. Because, 0 talks to 0, right? And you do an aspect, if it's square, like Jupiter is going to square 0 Aries, going to square it in June when it goes into Cancer. But Saturn and Neptune are dancing on 0 Aries this whole year through August, end of August, and then they back up into Pisces a little bit. And then next February, they come forward and they get married on 0 Aries on February 20th. And that starts a new, that starts a new 38-year cycle about the world order, the structure, and a new 38-year cycle for everybody and every chart, every country's chart, every leader of every country, all of us, the Declaration of Independence, the Magna Carta. I mean, why are these documents so important? Because they speak to the world's soul, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's a giant reset. So the Saturn-Neptune meeting. Now, last time Neptune was in Aries was a civil war. And it also was the war in Crimea, which is part of Ukraine. So we know that story's going. The last time Saturn was in Aries was the end of the 90s, and we had the dot-com collapse.
Yes, I remember that well.
I remember that well, Saturn, Neptune. And so they're meeting up again. Now, when Saturn and Neptune met up in Capricorn in the late 80s, that was when Europe changed. The Berlin Wall fell. We all, those of us remember that. We remember that. And Russia, the USSR, broke apart into little pieces. So now we're back 38 years later, And we're saying, okay, so that's what happened then when Saturn and Neptune met in Capricorn. Now they're meeting on the world order point, the world point. And we know those world points are big. We had COVID at 22 Capricorn. That's a world point. But 0 Aries is the mother of all world points.
Hey,
So
hey, can
Saturn
I
and Neptune
pause you for
meeting.
a second?
Yeah.
Because some people might not know about the world points. Which are the world points? Aries?
Well, there's a few of them, but the big one, the big kahuna is 0 Aries.
Okay.
So 0 of the cardinal points. When 0 Aries is spring starts, and then the sun goes up to Cancer. 0 Cancer is where the sun stops high, and that's summer ingress for the northern hemisphere, and then down to 0 Libra, that's the fall ingress, and then down to Capricorn on the bottom, it's the winter solstice. So
Yeah.
those are considered world points. So if you have planets in your chart on those points within a degree, you're tied to the world. Your people will know your name in the world. There are also the cross quarter dates, which are the halfway marks between the ingresses, and those happen at 15 of the fixed. So 15 Taurus is Candlemas, 15 is that right? No, 15 Aquarius is Candlemas, 15 Taurus is Beltane, Taurus, get in the field and get naked and make babies, May Day, Groundhog Day. Then we have Lammas, which is the harvest time in August, Leo at 15. And then we have 15 Scorpio, which is Celtic New Year or Samhain. So, the celebrations of the cross quarter dates are at 15 of the fixed. And then because we got the Aries point here and the 15 here, we got to do a cross. So we go 22.5, which is where COVID was, of the cardinals, and 7.5 of the mutables. So we then have a big cross. If we divide the circle into 90 degrees, we fold it up on itself. So it's a technique but it's a mundane technique too. Like all the mundane astrologers pay attention to that 0 point. And you watch, if you're looking to see, fame, when you look at the news and it's a big news day, there's planets on the world point saying, oh my God, the whole world's watching, which is what we had a couple last week when we had Zelensky getting yelled at in the Oval Office. And it was, the whole world watched and they all went, wow, what's going on here? Right. And so when that's what a world point is like people go, oh, wow, they notice it. If it's a person, they pay attention to that person. So we look at the world point as a big predictive point. But more importantly, this year it's at 0 Aries. So Saturn and Neptune are going to meet it. Pluto went into Aquarius, so he's at 0 Aquarius. He is in a sextile to that. In July, Uranus is going to go into 0 Gemini. He's going to be in a sextile to that 0 Aries. And that forms what we call a minor grand trine or a talent trine, because it's the trine between Uranus and Pluto, who last met during the civil rights movement in Virgo. That's the last time they got together, but now they're trining each other and they're both sextiling the 0 Aries point. And then Jupiter's going to come along and going to be at 0 Cancer and it's going to square it. So every time, and we're going to go through all the dates when the point's going to be activated. But what it does is where the sky is moving from earth and water. Pluto's been in earth since 2008. Neptune's been in water for 14 years. It's moving into fire and air. And it's going to be different, very different world. And so you're learning your draconic chart. So you can see how it's going to affect your soul, part one. First, learn about the draconic and go, oh, wow. Then go, oh, wow, how it's going to affect me. And then go, oh, wow, these are my important days to pay attention to because I'm getting cosmic instructions from my big guys, from the Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all changing from earth and water into fire and air, except Jupiter, he's going from air into water.
Yeah. So, okay, so let me just think, like,
Yeah,
gosh, it's so exciting.
Ask me questions. It's really going to be fun. We're going to have a really good time. And everybody's going to walk out going, once again, my mind is blown by astrology.
Exactly.
Which is always a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So people, those of us that are participating, we should have our charts handy.
Yes, you're going to bring your chart with you.
We'll bring our charts. I don't know where my chart
And
is.
if you have a chance, if you don't have a computer, bring a copy of your Draconic chart. And the way you do that is you look, instead of zodiac, you're going to probably have tropical. You might have sidereal. Look for Draconic. Just kind of scroll down. It's right in every software. Astro.com has it, all the softwares you buy. So bring a copy of your Draconic chart too.
Okay, I was
Or
gonna ask that.
if you bring your computer, you can pull it up in class.
So for people that are participating, they could just go to one of the websites like an astro.com and they could go there and they could choose. Instead, they're going to drop down and they'll choose Draconic
Instead of tropical.
and
Yeah,
tropical. And is there a
most
date?
of us Western are tropical, but some are sidereal,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
could drop from a sidereal to a tropical to Draconic.
Okay, so they
Because it
drop down.
works in both. Draconic is when the north node is at 0 Aries. And the
Okay.
chart will look like your chart, but all the houses will change, all the planets will change, and you'll be like, oh, interesting, and a lot of times it explains things. I had a client or a student actually, we were doing Draconic, and he's like, oh, this is why I'm an astrologer, when he saw the Draconic chart, because in his natal chart he didn't see anything, but the Draconic said, oh yeah, you're an astrologer, but you're going to actually do your engineering work. You're not, your soul knows astrology, which is that connection he had, but then it was how is he going to use it in this lifetime?
Right. And now when they go, just so that I make sure they know exactly how to do this. So they're going to go to the site, they're going to pick Draconic instead of tropical or sidereal. And is there a date that they should pick it for?
To their birthday chart.
Oh, so it's just okay, so they're just changing their birth. They're going in, they see their natal chart, they just change it to Draconic, and then they'll take a picture of that and they'll bring their natal chart, they'll bring their Draconic chart so that then we can overlay them.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else they need to bring? No.
Curiosity, some
Curious.
bottled water, whatever.
Will we have time during the workshop to look at any charts?
Yes. Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
will you be able to?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause that's
We got
always,
it. I think it's a pretty long workshop, so we'll definitely do the Draconic before lunch, because that's like the brain breaking stuff. And then after lunch, we'll do how the planets are going to aspect their Draconic chart.
okay, so step one, we're all going to learn about the Draconic chart. We're going to get to look at ours. We'll spend the whole morning doing that. Or if you're in a different time zone, it might be the afternoon for you. And then after lunch, we'll come back, and that's when we'll talk about the five outer planets, Jupiter through Pluto, and how they're going to interact with the Draconic chart. And will we be doing a little mundane start? Like, will we be looking at like the US's chart and some other charts in there to like
Yep.
see it?
It's
Okay.
really fun. It's really fun. It gives you kind of a whole different perspective on stuff,
Yeah.
because you look and you go, oh, wow, you know, wow, wow, okay. Because it tells you about the soul of the document. Like, why is the Declaration of Independence so important to us? Well, it's our aspirational goal, but it
Right,
has
right.
a soul's chart too. And it
Yeah.
shows us, because everybody goes, well, we keep trying to be better, right? And that's what the soul chart says. It's like you're gonna, it's a real, there used to be a book that they referenced a lot called Pilgrim's Progress. It's a real Pilgrim's Progress chart. We
Yes.
started with rich white guys that own land, then we added in the white guys to vote, then we
Right, right.
changed how we were going to run the election, then we added in the black men to vote. And then in the 1920s, they let us vote, Deb. And so, like, what do you mean we have to wait till the 1920s? I remember being at Steven Spielberg's Lincoln movie on the
Mm.
Upper West Side in Manhattan, which is very liberal and progressive. And there's a moment in the movie where they passed the 13th Amendment, which emancipated the slaves, and then gave them the right to vote in the 14th Amendment, right? And so they're in Congress, they're all fighting. One of them goes, you would think you want to give women the right to vote. And everybody in the movie went, women are never going to vote. Women are never going to vote. And the whole audience in New York on the Upper West Side went, what? What?
Okay.
Because we take it for granted, right?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
back then they were like, there's no way we're letting women, we might let the black guys vote, but we are not letting women vote. And it was a hue and a cry in the theater. And I went, ooh, okay. And the kid next to me, his girlfriend had dragged him. They were like 19. He goes, I don't know that women should vote. And
Oh
she
no.
looked at him
Oh
and,
my God.
but it was that kind of, he was like 19, but clearly it was a history lesson for him watching that movie.
Yeah.
So I kind of went, spill my popcorn on you. But yeah, so it shows us the evolution of, so if you have a chance, look at the Declaration of Independence chart, and we'll look at it in class too. And the Draconic chart that says once you go forward, try again, now try again and see if you can get it better. Okay, now try again and see if you can get, and we do try again and get it better. But
Right.
it's a process. Yeah.
It's a process, right? Nothing happens. Although in this society, everybody wants, right, like this immediate gratification. Nobody wants to go through the process,
Right.
right? But it's all about, and so like you were saying, like we have like astrology is all about cycles, and the nodes, they're going into Aries every what, like 18,
19 years.
19 years. So we're always have this reset every 19 years. But this particular reset is bigger than our past resets, not to judge, but
The
that's
5 outer
right,
planets.
because we have the 5 outer planets all aspecting it, which we don't always have like that. I mean, I don't even know if you researched this, like when's the last time that even happened?
Well, the last time the nodes were at this degree was 7,000 before Common Era, 9,000 years ago. When we
Wow.
went from the fertility goddesses to the Bronze Age, when men learned that their sperm made babies, and when they invented metal that they could take over land of other people. But basically, the beginning of the patriarchy is the last time this happened.
Wow. That
Yeah,
was a long time ago.
long time ago. And I'm attributing that to my friend Pam Gallagher, who runs the Midwest School of Astrology. She sat there one day and went back until she got the 0-degree Saturn Neptune, because it's met,
Right.
it met
Right.
38 years ago in Capricorn, right? But she went back to the last time it was at 0 Aries, and she called me in one of those, Anne, we have to talk, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's a long time ago. Let me process on that. How you have astrology friends that break your brain. Pam's one of
Yeah.
those for me. Yeah. And she's going to be at the conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, absolutely. It's like just like it's so hard to sometimes wrap your head around all that's happened in history, especially when you're going back thousands of years ago. Like it's like, is this real? Like it's real, but like it seems surreal. And
Exactly.
so like
Mhm.
this is a big turning point, and we're alive, we're all part of it, like we all chose to come back and reincarnate to be part of this big major event that is happening on the world stage, right, in so many different ways, right, in so many
And
different
it's
ways.
happening in our charts in so many different ways because we're getting
Exactly.
5 resets of the outer planets, and they paint the backdrop of our life, right? The personal planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they're our little friendly guys. But
Yeah.
Jupiter changes every year. That's the classes. When you were a kid, this is the wild class. Oh, this is the studying class. This class is very kind. This class a little got some bullies in it. And that happens to Jupiter every year. But the other planets, they don't change that often.
Right.
And in Jupiter's case, it takes him 12 years to go around the circle. But in Saturn, it's 29 years. So the last time Saturn was in Aries was 29 years ago. The
Yeah.
last time Uranus was in Gemini was June 1941. And the
Yeah.
time before that was the Civil War. And the time before that was the American Revolution. The last time Neptune was in Aries was the Civil War, the Crimean War. And they were the first 2 wars that were photographed, interestingly. And
Hmm.
then Pluto, the last time he was in Aquarius, was the American and the French Revolution, Protestant Reformation, fall of the Inca Empire. There's a big hoo-ha going on here,
Big stuff.
all together at the same time. So,
That's
and
right, that's what makes the mix, right?
we have a front row to history.
Like, what is going to happen? Like, it's one thing to have just like, I don't know, tomato soup, but right. But then you start putting the beans in it and this in it and that in it. And now you have this, right? It changed the whole dynamic. You went from, I don't know,
Mhm.
tomato to like minestrone or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and that's what this is going to be like. So and I know everybody, right? It's fascinating, right? It's fascinating to learn from history and see the stuff play out. But at the end of the day, right? I know you probably hear this from everyone. It's like, well, what does it mean for me?
And that's what we'll talk about.
Right? What does it mean for me? Which I decided I was thinking about this in the shower.
Okay.
I was like, because I'm doing running a introductory workshop myself this week for total beginners, but this is like this would definitely be mind breaking for them all this. And everybody's always like, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And I'm like, I'm going to be changing that. Right? I'm like, no more asking what it means. It's going to be what is the possibilities of what could happen? What is the
Right.
potentiality of what could happen?
Right.
And then I added the third one is what is the probability that this will happen for me, right? Because everyone always gets so nervous at this one, a simple transit. I don't know, like the moon's gonna, conjunct my Mars. I'm like, it does it every month.
Yeah.
Like, it does it every month.
But this,
Big.
yeah, this doesn't happen every month, this stuff.
This
Yeah.
isn't, that's why it's so important. If you are watching this and you're on the fence, like, should I go? Should I not go? It's Saturday. I should be I don't know. I want to say the beach because I live in Florida, but you could be skiing or hiking up north, whatever.
But you also can get the recording, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Like if you're not sure, this is a hybrid event. It will be recorded. And so everyone, all participants, whether you're live or watching it on Zoom, you'll all get the recording for this. So definitely this is big. Like I don't even know we could really, Ann and I could even express how big this is. So if you just have a little curiosity, whether you're curious about the Draconic chart in general, right? We're going to cover that. So if you're like, I've never even heard, I didn't even know I had a Draconic chart, then you definitely want to make sure you get there early so you don't miss that part. Be on time. We're starting at 10:30. And then we'll be progressing through and we'll be looking at that Draconic chart to your natal chart. And we'll be talking also about the Draconic chart of things like the US and I can't remember now all the different Declaration of Independence. Anne has a few charts, special charts up her sleeve that she's going to be sharing so that you can see this in action. So months from now, right? You don't want to be one of those people that get to miss out. Months from now, when these things start playing out, you'll be able to be like, I remember that from Anne's workshop on the Draconic Chart Reset,
Right. Right.
right? Like this is exciting. And besides, you also need those dates. So you want to show up or you want to get the replay so that you could find out what these dates are. Because listen, it's a lot of work to research and do that. And Anne give it to us, right? She's
I
gonna
give
just,
it to you in a handout. And
right?
you're going to go, okay, this is one of the dates. Let me pay attention to the news and see what, or pay
Exactly.
attention to my life. Let's see what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly. So, oh my gosh, what else? Anything else that they should
No,
know?
I think that's the big excitement. And then afterwards, if you're in person, we go out to this wonderful restaurant where we have amazing food and we sit and talk astrology for another hour or two with a takeout buffet that's fabulous. So yeah, come. It's a wonderful, wonderful chapter full of really friendly people. So
Yes,
come in person if you've never been. It's a great group of people. And if you live in Scotland and you only can come on the internet, we'll talk to you and wave at you and you'll have a good time. So
yes, definitely. I mean, we have lots of speakers. We have speakers every month during season here in Florida, but Anne is always a special guest for us whenever she comes, and she always has amazing, interesting topics like this one. This one's ridiculous
mhm,
how potent this topic is for each and
mhm.
every one of us.
Yeah,
And also the time that she shares with us, right? To even after that long day to still want to go and socialize with us, you know?
that's the best part. I mean, I don't mind being the teacher, but I like sitting talking astrology with people. Yeah. So
Yes. So if you've been watching Anne from afar, because I know Anne has a lot of stuff, right? You got your cup of tea, you're all over the place.
cup of stars.
Share a little bit. Where can people find you, Anne?
I'm on AnneOrtelee.com and I am in the process of upgrading it because I broke my leg and was in bed for 3 months with the broken leg. But so I do Patreon, which is a subscription service. You get a podcast, a list of aspects, and a song every day. I do Twitter. We're also setting up on Blue Sky. So go join us on Blue Sky. We tweet out the aspects as they happen. I'm do weekly weather, which we're starting back up again because it's been gone. I do classes and workshops. I'm on Facebook. I've been doing on Facebook, I've been doing a thing. We've migrated because we used to do a service that went out of business. We migrated Access Astrology to Facebook, which is Tuesday nights. And I do that with Heather Roan Robbins and Mark Woltz. And then I do the astrologer and the alchemist with my friend Gemma Joss, where she's an alchemist, I'm an astrologer, and that one's a little more political. So it's not just astrology, but it's astrology with politics, or politics with astrology. So yeah. So there's a lot out there. If you Google my name, you find me, so, but it's all on anneortelee.com. And you can sign up for the mailing list, and we send out a regular newsletter. I do monthly new moon webinars. Just did one on this week for the new moon in Pisces, which also is leading into the eclipse season. The eclipses are coming.
Yeah.
The eclipses are coming. And we're actually meeting on the day of the eclipse, I think. The 14th is the eclipse, right? So we're meeting.
Yes, I think we're meeting on the day Mercury's going retrograde.
And Mercury goes retrograde. Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, the lunar eclipse is on the 14th, that Friday.
Yeah.
And then we're meeting on Saturday. So yeah,
Mhm.
so Mercury. So I better tell Christine we better get there early, make sure all the
tech stuff,
technology is in order.
And the keys. Sometimes the keys go missing. We had that one year where the guy with the keys didn't show up. So
So yes,
we
okay.
couldn't get in. We were like, all right, what are we going to do? Sit in the hall and talk? Well, Christine's like, we can go out under a tree. And I'm kind of like, okay. Christine is very intrepid.
So if you are traveling to us, make sure you give yourself a little extra time.
A little extra
Mercury
time.
will be retrograde, goes retrograde that morning at 2:45 a.m. So give yourself a little extra time. You could have a nice cup of coffee. There's a Starbucks you'll pass on the way. There's a Dunkin' Donuts you'll pass on the way. It's a college university where we'll be, so they have a food court. So give yourself some time so that you can rest and you can get a good seat, because I will tell you it's usually a full house every time Anne comes. So you want to make sure you get there to get a good seat.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Anne, this was so much fun. Thank you so
you.
much. And for all of you, there will be a link somewhere around this video where you can sign up and register. This event is open for members and non-members, but I do encourage you, if you love astrology, to become a member of the NCGR, because we have, especially the Fort Lauderdale chapter, we have a lot of special guests just like Anne that come and light up our minds each and every month.
Which is nice. It's a wonderful chapter. I will say that. People are wonderful in that chapter.
Oh, thank you.
And it's all about the people, right? That's why we're here.
It is, right? All about your new favorite friends coming together and talking about astrology. I mean, where else do you get that?
Totally.
Hard to get that at the dinner table. Unless it's our dinner table after the show.
Right.
Class.
Totally. Yeah. Very cool. All right. So we're
All
good.
right. Well, thank you, everybody. See you all soon.
Okay. Bye.